I will try to provide a little bit of background. There are people who were not at last year's information session. For those who were here, you'll get a little bit of repetition, but repetition is good. So as background, we first entered into a consent decree with our state and federal regulators in 2002. And that consent decree required us to do a couple of things. And the first was to evaluate our sewer sheds. So we had to go into our collection system. It includes about 1,400 miles of sewers in the city alone. And about 71% of those sewer lines are over the age of 50. We had to develop a hydraulic model to really gain an appreciation of what the flows were like through our system. And then we had to set forth a series of projects that we would complete to eliminate or reduce our SSOs. The deadlines for those projects were 2016. Now, unfortunately, we were not able to meet that deadline, and that was in part due to a hydraulic restriction that was discovered at the Back River wastewater treatment plant. The pipe leading into Back River was actually below the wastewater treatment plant, and as a result, we had to establish a hydraulic head to push the wastewater into the plant. Now, that hydraulic head actually creates a 10-mile backup within the city. If you look at the chart, that pink area is actually where the sewage is actually just residing in our system at all times. That's what's necessary to push the rest of the wastewater into the Back River plant. That obviously affects the hydrology of the system, that affects how our system is functioning. It was really a significant issue to overcome, and that forced us to really go back to the drawing board with our regulators and try to reevaluate what we were going to do to solve these problems, do it once, do it right. Now, when we drafted the modified consent decree, we really took a different approach. We were looking at not just doing the list of projects. We are doing a list of projects. We added to it. It included the Headworks project at our Back River plant, which is designed to eliminate that hydraulic restriction. But we're taking on some adaptive management concepts. So we're going to do the list of projects. We're going to then evaluate the effects of those projects on our system. And then we're going to establish another series of projects that will actually create a performance goal for our system. We want to have a 5-year level of protection throughout the city, and then a 10-year level of protection for our sensitive areas. So our phase 1 projects, as listed up there, they have a deadline for January 1st of 2021. When we complete those projects, and that will include our Headworks project, we should be eliminating 83% of the volume of sanitary sewer overflows. Now, when we did the modification, we also extended the time frame for compliance. And we did that for a couple of reasons. One, we're doing more work. We want to make sure that we're doing it right. We want to make sure that we're not creating a burden on the market. We have a limited number of contractors that do this work. We didn't want to overburden that market and actually inflate the cost for ourselves. So we wanted to be able to stretch the ratepayers' money and do it in an economical fashion. We're also looking at this as an opportunity. This is going to generate about $2.6 billion worth of work. And it's not ideal. We don't want to be in this situation. But we can use it as an opportunity. We're trying to generate small businesses and develop small businesses in the city to help perform this work, help create competition, and do the work in cheaper and more efficiently. So let's walk through the terms of the modified consent decree. Paragraph 8 requires us to eliminate our structured overflows. As background, when our system was designed a long time ago, prior to the Clean Water Act, there were actually pressure releases designed within the system. There were a number of structured overflows. When the capacity for our collection system was maximized, they would actually serve as a pressure release to allow sewage to be discharged to a local receiving water. Obviously, that is not how we would design a system today. It is not ideal. It violates the Clean Water Act. So we have to eliminate those. Of the original 62 sanitary sewer overflow structures that were present in 2002, we have eliminated 60 of them. The two that remain are structured overflow 67 and 72, which discharge to the Jones Falls. During the course of our work, we have identified another 13 structured overflows, and we've been able to eliminate another 3 of those. So currently we have 12 structured overflows that we are monitoring. We have flow monitors on each of those so we can properly capture the flows during rain events. Okay. So for paragraph 9, the implementation of our sewer shed plans. As discussed, we're using a 2-phased approach that incorporates adaptive management. And you can see from the first subheading, we're making substantial progress with our phase 1 projects. These are listed in Appendix B of the modified consent decree. The second subheading there, the types of projects, just refer to the kind of work we're doing right now. And then the third, it just refers to the Backriver Headworks project. Again, this is the $430 million project that will eliminate that hydraulic restriction in the system. So over the past 12 months, in 2018, we have a map here that's showing the work that we've been doing. The green areas, let's call them line or chartreuse. Those are the areas that we completed work. This year we finished 2 more projects totaling about $30 million. We had actually 3 projects scheduled to be completed by January 1st of 2019, but we actually finished one of those projects at the end of 2017, well ahead of schedule. The gray areas are the areas within the city where we have ongoing projects. We have 6 ongoing projects totaling about $93 million. The blue areas have projects that are out for bid, so construction should start soon. And then we have the areas which are hashed, and it might look a little dark green to you, but we have completed projects in these areas, but we have additional areas out for bid. We have 4 additional projects, and they should be going out for bid shortly. So we have, in addition to the construction projects that we're doing, we have deliverables, reports that we submit to our regulators, and we have a number of things that we're reporting on. We have complied with all of our deadlines such far, and we're always looking for more data that's going to help us with our projects. So we have installed 20 additional rainfall and flow monitoring points. We have our early notification sites that we've installed, and we're trying to use this additional information to better inform the projects that we're doing. That will help us evaluate the effectiveness of our phase 1 projects. It will help us evaluate whether we're going to be meeting our 5- and 10-year level of protection for our phase 2 projects. And they also help us resolve problem areas as we're working through them in the city. We have submitted our quarterly reports to the state and federal regulators. They are posted on our website. If you are not already, you should go to the website. If you go to the consent decree page, you can sign up to receive updates. I would encourage you all to do that. And the chart on the left is an example of the informational graphics that we have in our quarterly reports. So as noted several times, we have the Headworks project. It is a pretty massive project which will eliminate the hydraulic restriction within the city. It is an expensive fix. It'll total about $430 million. But once we complete all of these phase 1 projects, we will eliminate 83% of the SSO volume experienced by the city, and Headworks will really be responsible for the lion's share of those reductions. The project is currently 35% complete based on time, and it's on schedule to be completed by January 1st of 2021. So we are required to eliminate illegal connections when we find them. The illegal connections are basically roof leaders or sump pumps, which are channeling stormwater, clear water into our sanitary sewer system. That is an issue because it takes up capacity, and we will eliminate those when we find them. Now, the good news is most of those fines occurred during the early stages of the 2002 consent decree. We have not found any illegal connections this year, so there were no enforcement actions that were necessary. We had no overflows or no incidences that would cause overflows. We've also upgraded our SCADA system. SCADA refers to supervisory control and data acquisition software that we utilize at our plants, and that simply helps them run in a more efficient manner. So one of the more impressive things that we did under the consent decree is establish a hydraulic model for the city. The city developed the model as part of the 2002 consent decree, and it included all of the pipes that were 10 inches or larger, and then 8-inch pipes that were connected to those pipes. And it also includes the city's 9 pumping stations. With all of this information, we capture about a third of the collection system, and as you can see from the graphic, the different colors actually represent different sized pipes. So what we're using the model for is to evaluate the effects of our phase 1 projects. That includes the impacts of rain events on our projects and on the collection system, and we'll also use it as a means of help establishing the phase 2 projects that we'll need to hit that performance requirement. In 2018, we're mainly using the hydraulic model to support our phase 1 projects and as a means to help analyze and develop SSO structure elimination plans. So DPW established the Office of Asset Management so we can work on proactive maintenance for our utilities. Our asset management staff has prepared our O&M plan. That was approved by our regulators a few months ago. We also submitted our annual progress report on our O&M plan. And again, if you didn't know that, you can go onto our website and you can subscribe for updates. If you just log into the DPW site and you hit on the Sanitary Consent Decree program, a box will pop up and you can fill that out and get updates. The annual O&M plan summarizes the proactive maintenance work that we've been doing. I think this one speaks for itself. We are doing targeted cleaning. We've done 51 miles of cleaning within the city. We're doing work to treat the fat oils and greases that create the fatbergs in our system. We've done 12 miles of that work. We're going into our system and we're cutting out roots and treating so roots don't grow. We've done 68 miles of that. And we frequently go out to food establishments and we inspect them to make sure that they are properly disposing of their fats, oils, and grease. So we have a plan, and it was approved a couple of months ago, to find and abate. I think we'll run back. Did you run an extra one? Oh, my bad. Got it. My apologies. As part of our efforts to work smart, we're trying to leverage technology, and we're utilizing a mobile app to help our maintenance workers to access CityWorks, and that's the system that we use in the city to record and report, track, and resolve customer service requests and work orders. We'll see a little bit later what we can do with some of the information that we're gathering. And now sanitary sewer, or sanitary discharges of unknown origins. We have developed a plan to track them and abate them. That was approved in November. And we continue to identify and go out through our Office of Compliance and Laboratories. They use a process of ammonia screening to work in the fields to trace high ammonia levels and trace them back to potential sewage discharges and we are continuing to make progress. So for record keeping, for our emergency response plan, we have submitted a revised emergency response plan. I suspect that will be approved shortly. Currently, we was submitted on time in April, but the regulators have not gotten back to us. We do have a government shutdown, so there have been some unexpected delays. We're continuing to track and report on our sewage overflows. The data shows that the efforts we're undertaking are working. We have seen a consistent reduction in SSOs since 2012. It's about a 30% reduction. Now, the bottom is fiscal year, I believe, so the first part of 2018 was a relatively dry year. That might tick up as we hit the wetter weather. But that being said, we're seeing those reductions. Some of those are caused by wet weather events, but we also have dry weather overflows, and we can use all of your help. We need to educate the public on the proper means of disposing of fats, oils, and grease, how to properly dispose of flushable wipes, which are not flushable. Those need to be discarded into the trash. So the things that residents can do to help us stop and abate the dry weather SSOs that we've experienced. But we have materials on our consent decree webpage, so again, we encourage you to visit the Department of Public Works website and gain a little more information. So for water quality monitoring, the Office of Compliance and Laboratories does go out and we do two things. We do ammonia screening on a weekly basis, and that is the means of going in the field and testing for higher levels of ammonia, which may be indicative of sanitary discharges or other things. We are also doing stream impact sampling, and that is being done monthly. The information provides a general account of water quality. It's not directly related to our sanitary sewer overflows. This is actually data that we're required to gather under the municipal separate storm sewer permit. It's not specifically designed for our sanitary sewer system. And there's not a direct correlation between water quality and our sanitary sewer overflows. There are a lot of things that are going on that we can't control for. There's development activities, there's human behavior, we have historic pollution in areas. Weather obviously has an effect. So whereas we are seeing improvement in water quality, it doesn't necessarily have a direct one-to-one correlation with the reduction of SSOs or 30% reduction. We also have Baltimore County who is doing work. They have a similar consent decree, so they are also working to abate their discharges. But again, we are seeing improved water quality throughout the city. We have 4 major watersheds in Baltimore: the Jones Falls, the Plains Falls, the Back River, and the North Branch Patapsco. Each of these is listed as impaired for bacteria, and the TMDLs, the total maximum daily loads that are established by MDE, are based on E. coli. The good news is that we're seeing a general decline in bacteria levels, but again, it's not a direct correlation with our SSO reductions. So if you look at this chart, there obviously we have different stations. These are not all of our stations, they're just some of the areas where we are coming very close to meeting our water quality criteria and areas of concern that we continue to have in the city. For E. coli, we are looking at the geometric mean from 2017, we're looking at the sampling from 2018, and the next chart, the percent of the variation is based upon the individual samples that are taken. So we're trying to have that be as close to 10% or under 10%. And similarly, we do testing for Enterococcus in our tidal regions. Enterococcus is a little more stable of a bacteria, and it will hold up a little longer in brackish waters. So we are doing similar testing there. And again, we have areas in the city that are coming close to meeting our water quality criteria, but we also have areas of concern. So there's still work to be done. And finally, we continue to do work on total nitrogen. sampling throughout the city, and here we have the percentage of samples at our different locations that are over the 3 milligram per liter threshold that we have. So if you look at the green areas, those are actually good. We're within the sampling requirements. The pink areas are areas that are of concern still, and the yellow are sort of transitional where we're getting close. But overall, we're seeing improvements in our nitrogen samples, though we still do have areas of concern. For example, JF 11.5 right here, that is actually one of our structured overflows. So we're actually taking those samples at the overflow structure itself. It's not from the stream, the Jones Falls, but actually from the structure. So we would expect those to be high. So for our deliverables, we are reporting on all of these and providing them to you, the public, on our website. If you go to the Department of Public Works website and go to our consent decree program, the image on the left-hand side will pop up, and that is where you can sign up. You can enter in your email address and you can subscribe for updates. And you will be privy to new documents as they are uploaded, and the chart on the right is simply showing you what that would look like. We have our STUO plan, our O&M plan, all of those things are up there for your review. Now, I talked about some of the new ways we're using technology, and I think this is one of the more exciting things that we're doing. We've actually developed a map, interactive map for our SSOs. And this is showing real-time the SSOs that are occurring throughout the city. I can do a quick demonstration for you. So here is the map currently. These are literally the SSOs that are occurring in the city. If a new SSO is identified, that would show up as a large red dot, referred to as new. It might not have all of the information yet. We might still be gathering that information. But by the time we report to MDE a 24-hour report, that will automatically be transformed into a purple dot, and will have information where it occurred, what water body it's discharging to, what the estimated flows are. All of that information will be available to you as we go through, and we're required to report within 5 days when the SSO is abated. Those will be transformed into either the orange dot or the blue or the green dot, depending on the volume. If it is under 10,000 gallons, it will be a smaller orange dot. If it is over 10,000 gallons, those are the ones we really want you to focus on, it will be a larger green dot. If we go up to any one of these, we can click on it. This is the location of structured overflow 67. And here you go. We have at the top, you can see 1 of 14, so there have been 14 discharges from SSO structure 67, and you can actually scroll through them all. If I can work a mouse, and you can see what we've been experiencing in the city. And again, we're showing where we're discharging to. It shows that it is a 5-day report submitted, the estimated gallons, and the watershed. If you want to look at another one, we can see here we have a 5-gallon discharge. So we're capturing literally everything. This didn't actually make it to a recreational water. We actually don't have to report on this to the public. But we'd rather over-report and capture everything and be more transparent. It's between the two, missing something and over-reporting, we're gonna go with over-reporting. Easier. If you want to, these will stay up for 4 months. And the reason why we chose 4 months is because after that period, we have reported that in a quarterly report. If you look at the very bottom and you want to gain access to our quarterly reports, it can be accessed through that link. You have access to all the information regarding the historical discharges. And we've tried to add in additional filters for you. So if you're looking at a specific date, you might need to trust me on this one. You will be able to filter by date or by watershed. It's having trouble loading. I apologize, the Wi-Fi is not great in here. But we're also giving you information regarding rain totals. So we have data from one of our rain gauges, and that will allow you to see if on a particular date we had a lot of SSOs, you can cross-reference it with the amount of rainfall that we've received. And finally, if you wanted to have more information regarding how you all can help reduce dry weather overflows, how you can properly dispose of your fats, oils, and grease, how you can properly dispose of your flushable wipes, that can be accessed at the bottom. And information regarding how to get information from the health department, that can be accessed on the right-hand side, as well as the phone number for our communications office if you have questions regarding a specific overflow. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to roll this out, provide a significant amount of transparency regarding the work we're doing and why we're doing it. And I think we've accomplished that now. So as I said, we're doing a lot of work in the city, about $2.6 billion worth of work. So we wanted to use this as an opportunity to help promote small businesses. We have started a program that will help develop minority, women, and disadvantaged businesses to help develop them so they can start competing for that $2.6 billion worth of work. It's a 10-week course. It includes construction management training with instruction on estimating and bidding, management best practices, program management. We actually bring in OSHA, so you get safety training. That's very important to us at DPW. The participants get support in getting certified and pre-qualified with the city so they can hit the ground running and start competing for work. And we want folks out there to try to increase the competition and hope to drive down prices. Oh, and I'm sorry, go back for one. Yeah, I think it's pretty significant. We have graduated now over 140 firms. We've actually had $2.5 million in contracts awarded to those firms. So we're actually getting some immediate results already. And that can only be a good thing for Baltimore. So in summary, under the modified consent decree, we're going to be doing more work. I think we're doing it in a more focused manner, using adaptive management principles. We're creating a performance goal for our system, so we actually have a level of protection that we're going to be meeting, and we're going to have a 5-year level of protection citywide, 10-year for our sensitive areas. We're going to be developing phase 2 projects to make sure that we get there. Because of the additional work, we are taking additional time. We want to make sure that this is economical for our residents, our ratepayers. And finally, we're using the consent decree as a means and as an opportunity to grow businesses in Baltimore. So we have a number of learning stations that we've set up. If you have specific questions, these are the topics that will be available to discuss at the learning stations. These guys will be the experts, so please go and ask them questions. I will be walking around if you have questions of me. Thank you.